Rule of Two Review. So Phil Spencer came out recently with some words about how Sony is securing third-party exclusives for the PlayStation 4. So here's a quick rundown of what Phil Spencer had to say. So they don't gobble the deals up, they buy them. You know, I read the same things you do, and I know some people think it's somehow less expensive to sign third-party exclusives if you have a bigger market share. I can tell you it has nothing to do with market share. When you go in to do a deal with a third party, that third party has its own view of the global market and the value of it. And they should. They should think about their assets and how valuable they are, just like anyone would when they are selling their goods. So my honest take on these quotes and the words from Phil Spencer is that I like them. I think it makes a lot of sense. He's basically making a true statement about what it takes to conduct any sort of business, let alone business within the video game industry and as one of the console manufacturers. And they ring very true, and I don't think that they're sliding Sony or the PlayStation 4 at all. Like I said, I think they're just being very honest. What he's saying is when you are a console manufacturer and you want to have as much secured exclusive content on your machine so that more people feel compelled to buy it, you want to secure deals with all these third-party developers that have the right to make their games available on any one or any combination of the platforms of their liking. When you're going to talk to one of these companies have their own idea of where they see the value of their own product, which is the game that they're making, and your system, your box, and what your market share looks like, as Phil Spencer was alluding to. So, of course, any one company is going to say, well, we think that this franchise, like Street Fighter V, for example, which was recently talked about by Phil Spencer in these quotes, has a certain amount of pull or leverage or clout in the gaming industry. We think it's this big of a title and this big of a franchise, and it could be worth this much. And Sony comes into Capcom and says, hey, we would like to, like Phil Spencer even says in this quote, we would like to purchase exclusive rights. We want to pay you the money to make sure that your game stays on our system and our system alone as far as the console space, because we also know it is also releasing on the PC. And, you know, it's Capcom's job to weigh the value of Sony's market. It's not Sony who's making that value of their own market share. It's Capcom as the owner of the property that Sony is seeking. And they're able to say, well, we think your PlayStation 4 and the market share it has is worth this much. And we think it might be worth the money you want to pay us to take our franchise and make it exclusive to your machine. And I think that that's normal business. And I like how, you know, in recent years, and especially with the news last year when it came out about Tomb Raider being exclusive to the Xbox One, which turned out to be temporary, and at that time we didn't know that. That was kind of just sort of a theory from some people, but it wasn't confirmed. So everyone was all mad and flipping their lids about the fact that Tomb Raider was going to be exclusive to Xbox One and it wasn't fair, and Microsoft was just purchasing it, or you know, it was unfair, something like that. People really lost their minds. So in this current day and age, there's this sort of viewpoint, I think, towards the idea of a third-party game being exclusive to any console manufacturer, and a lot of people see that as negative or wrong, and I think that's a shame, because you've heard me say it many times, I fully believe in the console exclusive. I think it's a great thing. I think it's healthy for the industry and for the market, and I think it's healthy for any one company to try to secure quality games only on their platform. That's what makes a game like Bayonetta 2, for example, a really great game, because they worked closely with Nintendo on the Wii U hardware to make sure that that game was the best it could be, and look at how it turned out. It's one of the best reviewed games in a very long time. It had a lot of perfect 10s, you know. I think that happens with a lot of other games, like one of my other favorite games from last year, Sunset Overdrive, exclusive, purchased by Microsoft for the Xbox One. I've yet to play Infamous Second Son, but I hear that that's fantastic. I think Titanfall's awesome. You know, there's a lot of games that turn out great because they're exclusive and they sell the value of a console. So I think that's a great thing. But a lot of people nowadays, sadly, don't really feel the same way, and that's everyone's right, but I think it's a shame because, like I said, I think it's healthy for the industry and healthy for any one console manufacturer. So Phil Spencer comes out with these words discussing Sony's approach to conducting business and to how they, like, you know, secure basically games to be exclusive for the PlayStation 4. And I think a lot of people have been wanting to jump on this, either saying, yeah, Phil Spencer, you tell Sony what's up, or taking the opposite approach of, oh man, he's just digging Sony and the PlayStation 4 and he's jealous because the PlayStation 4 is doing better, and he's just kind of, you know, slinging shit or slinging mud and starting more of a kind of a debate or a fight between Sony and Microsoft. And I don't really know why some people are getting that impression, because to me, he's not saying that at all. I think he's just making a very clear-cut, honest, and completely impartial statement about how you conduct business in the industry and how Sony is doing that. And I think that he's kind of almost making it as a roundabout compliment, saying, hey, Sony did a very good and smart thing in securing a game like Street Fighter V, for example, as an exclusive. They did the smart thing. Just like Microsoft did the smart thing securing Tomb Raider as an exclusive, at least for a period. You know, they didn't do it permanently, but they secured a year's worth of exclusivity. And I think that that's going to go a long way into making that game successful on the Xbox One and helping further make the Xbox One itself successful, because I feel like it probably will sell pretty well right out of the gate when Tomb Raider launches. I think people will say, hey, with Halo 5 and Tomb Raider coming out only on the Xbox this year, I need to buy me an Xbox One. And I think that anyone who would do that would be smart to do so, because it's a great machine and it's only going to be better once you can only play Tomb Raider and Halo 5 on that machine this year. A year down the road, some people will be picking it up for the PC and PS4 for sure. Tomb Raider, I mean. And that's going to be really great, and those versions may even be better than the Xbox One version. But hey, man, you can't argue with a year lead on a huge title like that. So, you know, these guys, they run these huge companies, and they're the heads of these huge machines, and, you know, Nintendo included, and these guys are in charge of making smart business decisions, and doing what Sony does by purchasing exclusive rights to games is good business. Even if sometimes the gamer feels left out or slighted, and I don't want to make it sound like I don't also understand that, by the way, because you know, I'm fortunate in that I'm able to afford all of the console manufacturers and a nice PC. I have these available to me, so really it doesn't matter to me which system a game comes out exclusive for. But that's kind of rare, and I get that. Most people, you might only be able to afford one or two machines. Maybe the one machine you have is the only one you can get, and it's not easy for you to just say, oh, now I need to go buy an Xbox for $400 just because I want to play Tomb Raider. You might have to wait that year because you can only afford a PlayStation 4. So I understand why people, you know, sometimes it stings to have a game that you want come out as be announced as exclusive for any one console. I totally understand that. But in general, it's a good thing. And I think that these guys are making, like I said, smart business decisions. It is good business, even though it sucks sometimes for the gamer. It's smart for their console. And that's the way it has to be. You know, we can never forget that the video game business is exactly that. It's a business. It's an industry. It is driven by money, even though there is a passion of people to want to make good games and please the gamers. And a lot of gamers are making games, and there is that purity present. It still doesn't overshadow the huge asterisk, which is we want to make money. We need to make money. If anything, these companies also need to make money to further support their machines, to make new consoles and hardware, to make sure that good games can exist by having third parties see success with their games on these platforms. I mean, it's the typical cycle of business, you know, and we can't remove the fact that business and big money is important to gaming, even though it's, you know, for a lot of us, it's our favorite hobby. The money has to be there. It has to be, that incentive has to be there for these companies. And if it's not, then the circle of life that keeps the industry going, you know, will kind of die, and then the industry starts to suffer. And, you know, long story short, I kind of tangented there, but building off of what Phil Spencer says, he just understands these principles, I think, that I, you know, discussed. And I think it's really cool that he can come out and make these broad, impartial statements about how Sony is conducting their business. And, you know, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he was trying to be kind of rude or offensive towards Sony and their business practices, but I don't know. To me, it didn't seem that way. It seemed like he's just saying, hey, this is how things are done, and this is how Sony did it, and the end. You know, I think he was just making a statement, responding to somebody's question, and made a factual, matter-of-fact statement about how Sony does things. And you know what? That's fine. It's the kind of thing that a lot of us who are Nintendo fans wish Nintendo would do more. I love the fact that they secured games like Wonderful 101 and Bayonetta 2 as a third-party exclusive, even Devil's Third. You know, the jury's still out on that one, but I'm glad that they secured that as exclusive, and we want our favorite companies to have as many exclusive titles on their machines as possible. So, you know, right on Phil Spencer for, you know, making such an unbiased statement. I think that that's pretty cool, and I thought it was pretty interesting, so I just wanted to share my quick thoughts about what I think he was getting at. And I know some people might be reading into it the wrong way, but I'm pretty sure he was just making a simple matter-of-fact statement. So there you go. That's it. Share your thoughts below. Do you think that what he said makes sense? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? How do you feel about exclusives in the industry? Do you think Phil Spencer was just being nice and calm calm and making a genuine statement, or do you think that there was maybe an ulterior motive behind what he was saying? Share what you guys think. Thanks as always for tuning in. I love and appreciate your support always. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I will catch you guys next time on another video.